Oh, welcome in. This is the Joe Gaither Show right here on BamaCentral and BamaCentral.com. You're watching us on YouTube, on Facebook, on Twitter. I hope you guys have made it to Monday. You did survive. The sun came up. You're listening to us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Amazon. Anywhere you get your podcast, you're following me on the social media machines at Joe Gaither6, sending me your comments, questions, queries, and complaints. Oh, lots of complaints after this past weekend in Bryant-Denny Stadium. Oh my gosh, taking a big old fat L to the Texas Longhorns. And what a weekend it was here in Tuscaloosa. It was an amazing weekend. I mean, first, we'll start right there. It was an amazing weekend. You can obviously hear that I gave my all to the Crimson Tide this past weekend. My voice looks and sounds like, terrible. So we had a fun weekend, but oh my gosh, what an awful experience on the field. Let's talk about it. Let's get into it. It's going to be a big week. Hopefully, we're going to make it a better week as we roll on. We'll talk in the later parts of the week to members of the $1 Million Band. We'll talk to Roger Hoover later in the week about really everything Alabama football, Alabama athletics related, and we'll kind of see whatever we can do. I guess that'll be Tuesday, and then that'll be Wednesday with Roger Hoover. We'll try to catch up with a South Florida writer that can tell us all about the South Florida Bulls. They are 1-1, and they are the next opponent up on the schedule. But first, oh my gosh, I'm going to go. Look, if you want sunshine and roses, if you want everything is all good in Alabama land, you're in the wrong spot. So you may as well turn it off today. Look, I'm going to maybe poke some feelings or ruffle some feathers in the Alabama Crimson Tide world, both on the field, in the program, and right there in the fan base, in the stands. Yes, we are going to do it all. And you can, again, agree or disagree with me right there in the comments on Facebook and YouTube that show up real nicely right there at Joe Gaither6. You can participate. And we're going to see how long my voice holds out because I went, a little over 60 minutes. I was there in Bryant-Denny Stadium with about 77 minutes on the clock to kick off, and I was feeling rowdy, getting excited, and it was a great time. Oh, it was a great time. I was up there in the seats. Thank you so much to Mr. Miller hosting me again in Bryant-Denny Stadium. And so, let's get into the game. Let's start. Yeah, that's probably top down. So we probably need to start. Oh gosh, administration, coaching staff, fans, players, all kinds of blame to go around. All kinds of blame to go around this weekend as Alabama falls 34-24 at home. Nick Saban's worst home loss in the Alabama era, in his Alabama era. His worst home loss since he was coaching at LSU in 2003. Yeah, he took a double-digit loss in 2003, I believe, to Florida State. So his worst home loss in his coaching tenure. His third loss to a former assistant coach. And Steve Sarkisian and them boys. All right, look, let's get right to Steve Sarkisian and the Texas Longhorns came at Alabama's neck right from the jump. Came at your neck and really had Alabama on its heels the entire game. Alabama was chasing the game, and exactly like my man Wendell Hare said right there to start the program off, and you can jump in on the comments. Wendell commenting, despite the outcome, it was a great battle in the trenches. Well, Wendell, it was a battle. Was it a great battle? It was one-way traffic. The Texas Longhorns came into Bryant-Denny Stadium and bulldozed the defensive line and really put a lot of pressure on our offensive line. Everything that you saw last week in the Rice game, watching Texas and Rice, it looked nearly the exact opposite. Oh, well, except for the Texas defense. The Texas defense looked pretty good against Rice, but the Texas offensive line looked horrendous against the Rice Owls. Giving up 3 sacks to Quinn Ewers and giving up multiple pressures along the front, not really running the ball with great consistency. And what do? They came into Bryant-Denny Stadium and they punked us. They punked you. They punked me. They punked all of us. Look, it was college game day in here. It was college game day. It was the eyes of the college football world. Two blue bloods really colliding here in Tuscaloosa. The biggest single home game in Tuscaloosa. Okay, you can talk about LSU in 11. You can talk about LSU in 19. But to me, I'm going all the way back to Penn State in 10 because it's not often. Look, we get LSU up in here every other year. Whether they're good or they're bad, they come every other year and they take that butt whipping. Like, they won in 11, they won in 19. Every other time, they've basically gotten whooped. So, to me, this was the biggest game in Tuscaloosa in 13 years, since Penn State was here. Since Penn State and all their tradition, Joe Paterno and, before his scandal came here. And yes, Alabama handled business in 2011. And we're going to talk, in 2010. And we're going to talk a lot about how life was in 2010 here in Tuscaloosa. Oh my gosh, because we have had a complete shift away from what it was in 2010, what it was in 2009, 07, 11, 14, really right around 2016, 15, things started to break, things started to shift, things started to go in a direction that, is not going to be conducive to the dynasty continuing. If you follow me on social media, right after the game, I put up that video of the eyes of Texas. I was sat right there next to the Texas band. And I'll just tell you, as a college football fan, I felt very, very, very privileged to be in the presence of, honestly, Rammer Jammer's up there. Rammer Jammer is just so fun to yell at their opponents. But the eyes of Texas, the tradition, oh my gosh. And of course, they're playing, what's the actual song? The railroad. I've been working on the railroad all the livelong day. It's that same tune. Such a classic old-time tune. And the Texas Longhorns, honestly, I felt privileged to hear everyone up there. The eyes of Texas are upon you. And did it break my heart? Yes, it broke my heart. It made me upset. It made me, bitter. But as a college football fan, it was very special to be in that presence. And I want to thank all of the Texas fans that were around me, because really there were a ton of them around me, and they let me curse my tail off all game long. They let me yell at the offense, yell at the defense, get Alabama fired up. They let me yell, roll tided. They let me get in, and after the game, the whole game, it was a classy bunch from my experience. And after the game, they cheered for their own team. It was handshakes all around, and everybody goes home happy, except me, of course, except me and except you. The Texas folks, oh my gosh, I was impressed. I was impressed with what they brought to the college game day atmosphere. Obviously, game day's here. SEC Nation is here. You got Barstool Sports right there on the strip. Pat McAfee broadcasting right there from the quad. It was the who's who of college football media. And, maybe I'll be out there again one day. It was a privilege to be out there on Saturday observing the greats in my industry really just having the crowd in the palm of their hands. Pat McAfee, the crowd, Bama, Bama, just right over and over and over. And McAfee, whether you like him on college game day or not, he's an absolute wrestling character. And that's what he's there for. He's a wrestling character for football. He's a wrestling character for college football. And this weekend, he put on his wrestling mask and wrestling attire for the Crimson Tide. And it was a blast to see. It was a lot of fun to see. He got Nick Saban onto his show on Friday, and he basically got him to sign up for a weekly segment on Thursdays, and we'll get into what that means going forward, whether you want to listen to that or not. Pat McAfee said, we're going to ask you the dumbest questions you ever heard. And they will. They're going to try to bump Nick Saban around, kind of make him uncomfortable with some off-the-wall questions. And Nick said, I'm going to have to figure out a way to get you guys back before the end of the year, somehow, some way. We'll get into all this. Oh, yeah. Oh, highly frustrating because a handful of things frustrated me over the weekend. And okay, let's back up to Thursday. Let's back up to Thursday night on Hey Coach. Let's back up to Wednesday during Coach Saban's media availability. Coach Saban's media availability basically called for the crowd to be into the game from the jump and it would go 60 minutes. I'm going to go back a year ago to Austin, Texas. Whether you went out there or not, you could tell through the television that those folks in Austin were screaming their tails off the entire game. The entire game. Now, whether that was because they were upset about a call here or a call there, they were into the game the whole way. And it felt like, at least from the television product, that the entire team, the entire stadium was into it from the jump. I get in the stadium about an hour and 15 minutes before kickoff because I want to see warm-ups. I want to see Jalen Milroe. I want to see how the guys look. I want to experience the pageantry. I want to see how the crowd is going to be. And here's the deal. Was the crowd loud? Yes, the crowd was loud at points, at different points. And most of the time at the right points, it was loud. But there's a serious lack of organization, at least, and it starts at the student section. I was hollering at my interns, my old students that I used to teach. I said, "You guys got to get it going right at the start." Look, in 2009 and 11 and 7 and 8, you would have had roll tide, roll tide. Roll tide for 30 bleeping minutes. You would have had it for 30 minutes in the entire stadium just getting into it, getting lubed up. But no, there was no organization, not until the band finally showed up with about 35, 40 minutes to go to kickoff. The band played great job. We will hear from some $1 million band members tomorrow on the program, I believe. I think we're talking to him tomorrow. We're talking to him. We're talking to two members of the band, I believe, tomorrow morning. We're going to play it tomorrow. But look, the organization is severely lacking in Bryant-Denny Stadium. You got 100,000 people in the stands, and you can't get a simple defense, chop, chop, defense, chop, chop chant going. And look, I know where I'm sitting up there in the upper deck next to the Texas fans, you're going to get maybe a different breed of Alabama fan, maybe a different flavor of Alabama fan. It was a little more family friendly in my section, and that's fine. That's A-okay. But this is a time where this is a week. It ain't Western Tech University State College coming into town. Last year, Texas came for your neck, and they gave you an environment that was dangerous to be in for the entirety of the game. You want to know how many pre-snap penalties Texas got in this game? 1. It was a delayed game that they intended to get. They tried to draw Alabama offsides, and ultimately, thank God, Alabama had a little bit of discipline right there on that first drive of the game. They didn't jump offsides. They intentionally took a delay of game. The Alabama crowd didn't affect the Texas Longhorns, and now it ain't for a lack of trying. You got your boy Zig right there DJing the entire game. You got the lights. You got the sound system. The administration's trying to do whatever they can to keep everyone involved in the game. I know the children, all their attention spans are 1 second, 15 seconds long. It was abysmal to me to have to look around and say, come on, let's all stand up. Let's all cheer, roll tide. Let's all yell. Let's all give it our all. It was abysmal. Now, of course, every time you flash to the student section, they're going crazy and all this, that, and the other. But there's no organization. There's no sense of unity. There's no sense of 100,000 voices acting as one. And it's just upsetting to see where this program has gone from the very, very tip top to the very, very bottom. Now, this will go back to the top of the administration. Look, they put on a great show. Kirk Herbstreit talked about the game day ops people on Friday, basically putting on a great performance, a great presentation. You guys heard from Jason Stonehouse on my show last Wednesday, talking about his takeaway from the event, from the week number 1, being the fact that Alabama, the football game, was much more than just the football game. But I think you got a huge problem in Bryant-Denny Stadium and look, it comes down to pricing people out. It comes down to, honestly, let's hurt some feelings. I mean, look, our feelings are already hurt today. So, if you don't want to get your feelings hurt, that's fine. You can listen to us tomorrow. We'll be back on the, hey, everything's going to be okay. But today, I am angry. Today, I am upset at really all of us. I'm upset at you, Nick Saban. I'm upset at you, Greg Byrne. I'm upset at you, Stuart Bell. I'm upset at you, Tommy Rees. I'm upset at you, Kevin Steele. I'm upset. And Wendell, you're about to, right there, my man Wendell Hare, nailing it down, boiling it down. People just go to get drunk. They don't want to show pride. Now, I'll be honest, I had a few beverages on Saturday night. I was there. But my mission on Saturday night was to watch the Tide play. Watch the Tide play. Welcome a blue blood program that you haven't had in your stadium since 1902. I think it was 1902. Maybe it was 1929. I saw it on a social media deal. They haven't been to Tuscaloosa in nearly 100 years. And you want to leave these Austin people with the impression that, oh, we don't want to go back. We're going into the SEC, and we're going to be afraid of going back. We're going to be, oh, gosh, we're not ready to go into the SEC. No, they're leaving Austin with their head, they're leaving Tuscaloosa with their heads feeling high. Look, I live right next to the airport. There was 1.5 million planes here. And they were impressive. Oh, it was impressive. Flying out, flying in, all day on Thursday, all day on Friday, all night on Saturday, all day on. Like, they were impressive. It was awesome. From a neutral perspective, when I take my fan hat off, it was awesome. I was like, wow, these people are really bringing it. These people, obviously, like, look, you hear everything's bigger in Texas. And I've always thought, yeah, BS. Yeah, no big deal. And you look at Texas's record, not won a Big 12 title since 2009. Yeah. You look at, firing Charlie Strong, firing, whoever, their last handful of coaches, Mac Brown fizzing out. Okay, so you didn't take them seriously. But the tradition is there. And they brought every last bit of the tradition right here into Tuscaloosa. And what did we do? We showed our rear end, honestly. We showed our rear end. We showed our rear end by every single, look, the sorority girls, you're beautiful. All you girls are beautiful. Every single one of you girls are beautiful. And all you boys are going to go make for a great lawyer, investment banker, whatever the case may be. But every time they go to the student section, you see horns down, horns. You're freaking losing. You're down 10-3, and everybody's horns down, phones up, horns down. And look, I wanted so badly to flash the horns down. But I remember Nick Saban last year running off the field. Don't do that bleep right after you'd won. And so I thought, I'm walking up to the stadium. We had just parked, and I'm thinking, ooh, I'm getting the Austin people around me. I think, ooh, when's the first time I'm going to throw horns down? Because I want to throw horns down right at one of these guys' faces. I mean, I don't want to get in a fight, but I want to, set the tone. And I thought, you know what? I better wait until we actually are up 28-7, when we're actually up in the fourth quarter, and those people are walking down the aisles in Bryant-Denny Stadium. But no. Literally every social media post that you ever saw from any sorority girl the whole day, horns down. And look, I guess it's just because it's the first time we've been able to do it, because it's the first time we played them since 2009. I mean, obviously last year, but you never got them here. It's the first time that you bring him back into the rotation. Last year, it gets to be cool thing to go horns down. This year, it gets to be cool thing to go horns down. And look, I like doing the cool thing too. You put me on a little social media trend. I would, drop the dab, 10 years ago, whatever the case may be. We all want to be cool. But, oh my gosh, showed your rear end. Showed your absolute rear end by not respecting the opponent. And look, I don't know if that affected the team. Really. And you can't say that. But goodness gracious, it starts from the top down and it bleeds from the bottom up. The top down. I love you, Greg Byrne. I love you, Stuart Bell. The University of Alabama is 10 million times more beautiful today than it was when I went to school as a freshman in 2008. It is. Absolutely. Buildings aplenty. Technology aplenty. Every amenity that you could ever want on campus. Hell, you can live on campus right now and live a great life for the next 30 years. You can. Sign me up for one of those dorm rooms, and I can live right there, and I can work on campus and have a great life. And I can never leave the little bubble. And that's what Stuart Bell wanted to create. And they did create that. But what happened with it? And look, I love the tuition. I love that our enrollment numbers have climbed. But hello, your enrollment from Texas, from California, from Florida, from North Carolina, from New York, from Wisconsin. Oh, we're all from Chicago. We're all from God knows where. You're not from Alabama. You're not from the Southeast. You don't have regional pride. Why'd you come to Alabama? Oh, well, it's cool. We're all cool on social media. They got the biggest sorority house in the world. They got the biggest fraternity house in the world. And great. That's no problem. That is no problem. And Wendell, you just keep backing me up because goodness gracious, we're on the same page right here. It's no problem. I don't care if you're from out of state. That's fine. Come to Alabama. We'll teach you all the traditions. We'll teach you about Roll Tide. Look, I am from, you can read it right there on any of my social medias. I'm from Chattanooga, Tennessee. I have been in Alabama since 08, basically. But I'm from Chattanooga, like, not a native Alabamian. No. Look, I could have been in Alabama like 35-minute drive from Chattanooga, but like I'm not going to sit here and pretend that I'm actually from Alabama. But what happened when I got here in 2008? Every single person taught me the very first game. I'm looking around. What's this Yay Alabama song? How do I learn it? Let me get on it. Oh, we're all doing Rammer Jammer at the end of the game, finally? Oh, what's that? What's the worst of that? Okay, Rammer Jammer, Yellow Hammer, give them hell, I love. You ingratiate yourself into the Alabama tradition. And right now on my wall on my wall has the Alabama degree. And so I'm pretty proud of that. I'm proud of the work that it took to get there. Yes, I did take the long route. And if you are working on a degree on the long route, that's fine. Keep plugging away at it. It's no problem. Oh gosh. And like I used to, I kind of still have a little bit of y'all are sidewalk alumni, Walmart fans, and I have the degree. No, give me 10 million Walmart fans who are going to be from smallest areas of Alabama, put them into Bryant-Denny Stadium where they're going to yell their tail off, where they're going to be involved in the game, where they're going to be an actual participant in the game, not the game as a social experiment. The game as I paid my $150. I can do it. Look, fine. You paid your money. You can consume the game however you want to. But I can be disgusted at the way that you consume the game. I had a family right in front of me. They had their radios on the entire game, and that's fine. Listen to Eli Gold. Listen to Tyler Watts. They're great at it. That's what they sell, the radios in there, but they sat on their tails the entire game. Just listening to Eli Gold and watching it. What are you doing here? What are you doing here? I guess you're having fun. You don't hear anything inside the stadium, but I guess you're having fun. Okay. And I looked over to my right and and I almost put the pictures up. I did almost put the pictures up, but I didn't want to embarrass anybody. I looked over to my left. I looked over to my right. It's about to be third and change. It's about to be fourth down. Look, how many times did Sark go for it on fourth down? 3 times? He went for fourth and goal, right? That went out of Xavier Worthy's hands. Lucky. He went for fourth and medium in the first quarter. Like, this is the time you set the tone, and everybody's sitting on your tail. Not everybody, obviously the student section going crazy. And look, I'm going to get people in my comments saying, oh, well, Nick Saban said thank you to the crowd. Nick Saban said the crowd was good. Look, when's the last time you heard Coach Saban criticize anybody? Anybody that's going to give him money, anybody that's going to give the athletic department money. Let's say it that way. When's the last time Coach Saban has said, oh, play for 4, stay for 4? When's the last time he criticized the students? I mean, the students showed up. They did, absolutely. But you know what really upset me? I was told that, we're putting all the Texas people in the upper deck. Cool. I talked about that last week. I told you all that I didn't really think that was a very classy move. That's not very an Alabama move. That's not where champions are made move. We don't care. But that's the case. That's the way they did it. That's fine. But when I looked down into the lower bowl, there was a hell of a lot of orange. A lot of orange. And so what does that tell me? As a one-to-one, let's connect some dots thinker, it tells me that, Johnny Patriots, Johnny whoever, Billy whoever, Sally whoever, put their tickets up on StubHub and let them go for the highest bidder. Let them go to whoever's going to pay for them. And look, there's nothing wrong with that, but it's going to go back to my big point that the administration has priced people out. The administration has made the game day experience way too, shiny. I love the lights, shiny toys, and not about the meat. Look, I love birthday cake. I love it. I love birthday cake. I love cookies. I love brownies, but you cannot live off cookies and brownies. You cannot live off of, I'm going to, you just cannot live off the, you got to have some substance. And of course, A lot of the amenities is there to attract the kids and keep the kids there and make it fun, make it a party environment. Because Alabama used to be blowing teams out 55-7. Last week against MTSU, it's 56-7. Now they didn't leave last week because this team right here, Alabama's 2023 team, has a ton of intrigue and more intrigue today on Monday than they did last Monday. Last Monday, I was getting right here onto this program and saying, okay, everything the guys have talked about is actually happening. Everything the guys are actually talking about is manifesting itself on the field. You had Tyler Booker and J.C. Latham. We're going to be more physical this year. We're going to impose our will this year. We're going to run the ball. You have Dallas Turner. We're going to get back to the Bama standard. Oh, we're going to play to the standard. Kevin Steele coming up for his media coordinator deal in early August, talking about the standard was set when I got here in 2007. Great. All the adjectives, all the words on last Monday felt true. This Monday, I'm wondering if you lied to us. I'm wondering if y'all lied to yourselves. I'm wondering if you know even how to get back to the Bama standard. I'm wondering what the Bama standard is. Think about it. When's the last big game Alabama won? Seriously. I mean, LSU down on the road last year should not have been a big game. LSU was looking at like 3 losses last year before that game. Alabama walked into Death Valley a 10-point favorite against Jaden Daniels and first-year coach Brian Kelly, and they straight up upset you. Okay, going back further, you go up to Neyland Stadium, you're playing a top 10 matchup against Tennessee. Tennessee finally feels like they're back. You know what 09 Alabama would have done? What 10 Alabama would have done? What 11, 12, and 13 Alabama would have done? Oh, Tennessee, you're back. That's cute. Here, take this 30-point L because we're going to shut you out. Take this big old demoralizing loss and realize how far not back you actually are. That's what the early days of the Saban dynasty would have done. But they don't. Right now they don't. You can go further. Oh, man. You go to Georgia in the national championship game. You go against Georgia in the national championship game, and boom. Yeah, I know. You lost John Mechie and Jamison Williams. Fine. That's no problem. What would early Alabama have done? They would have said, oh, we lost John Mechie, Jamison Williams. We're going to be able to we're going to run the ball. We're going to be able to find the way to beat this team no matter what. The last big game that Alabama won under Nick Saban was the SEC title game right before that, 33-18. Bryce Young plays out of his dadgum mind. The offensive line plays out of its dadgum mind. They did. Great. Awesome. And yes, that is a win we should all celebrate because it was a great night. It was one of the best nights in Alabama sports history. You win the SEC title in football. You go beat Gonzaga in basketball in a matter of 6 hours. I was drunk on Crimson Kool-Aid, and I hope you were too. But oh my gosh, when's the last time Alabama showed up for a big game? When was it? So do we even know what the Bama standard is? Do we even know? All right, so I went on and I'll rewatch the game because I thought maybe what I saw in stadium was not going to be, what I actually saw. No, the offensive line got their butt kicked. 3 and 4 rushers kicked Alabama's offensive line's butt. Darian Dalcourt, Seth McLaughlin got their butts kicked. Caden Proctor did mostly fine, but the issue is you have to leave a running back in more often than not to supplement the pass protection. And so what does Texas do? Coach Saban told you before the game. Coach Saban told you if you listen to him, he said, well, Texas doesn't really scheme a lot of blitzes, but they green dog a lot. For you guys, maybe not knowing football, the linebacker responsible for the running back says, if you're staying in and blocking, I'm going to blitz, period. If you're going to go out for a pass pattern, I'm going to cover you. But every time you stay in and block, I'm blitzing. And they did all night long. They were in Jalen Milroe's face. Now, look, we'll get to Jalen Milroe in a little bit. I'm still just like, this might be a 3-hour show. Oh my gosh, I'm angry. I'm upset because look, Coach Saban, the last 3 years have been talking about, we're going to get back to the Bama standard. Do you even know what that means? Do you even care, Coach? I'm sorry. Do you have it in you to get back to the Bama standard? Look, this is Coach Saban. Look, first, here.
Everybody would like to be successful. Everybody's not willing to do the things you need to do to be successful. We had one speaker come here and showed the biggest tiger I've ever seen. took up the whole screen. And he said, everybody wants to be the beast, but everybody don't want to do what the beast do. So if you want to be the beast, you got to do what the beast do.
Coach Saban talking today in the Naylor Stone media room, basically saying in the fourth quarter, we got beat. How many times are we going to hear this? In the fourth quarter, we got beat. LSU, fourth quarter, you got beat. Tennessee, well, in the fourth quarter, you got beat. Oh, God, you did get beat in the national title game against Georgia. Fourth quarter, you got beat. So what's the problem, Coach? What's the problem? Are we not doing enough in fourth quarter offseason training? Are we too soft on them in the summertime? What's the problem? Are you not working their tails? You're not working their tails enough in fall camp. What is the problem here, Coach? Because we're seeing a trend, we're seeing a pattern, and Coach isn't getting upset. When's the last time you saw Coach Saban, holler and chew somebody out on the sidelines? When's the last time, look, and I'm in the media. If you want to chew me out just to get it off your chest, it's fine. You might see this, doubtful. Coach Saban doesn't pay attention to me. That's fine. If you want to see this and rip my tail on Wednesday, please, I beg you to do so. I beg you to do so. Whatever it takes to get you back in this warrior mentality. What did Kirby Smart say before playing TCU? Before playing TCU for the second national title, he said, we're going to go hunt. We're going to go hunt for the 60 minutes, and we're going to go hunt and take our national championship. This is after they'd already won one. After they'd already won one, Kirby is still starving. Kirby is still an emaciated man trying to feed a fan base that's been 40 years without food. A fan base that is ravenous, a fan base that wants to stay for 60 minutes, a fan base that gives money to their NIL program, a fan base that now you see them on social media. They're loud as hell. They're loud. I mean, they're loud, and you got to deal with it because they're winning. And Wendell, I think you're right. I think you are right. But here's the difference. Kirby Smart, I think, still coaches to that same really tough standard where he's chewing his players for the smallest things. We're up 65-7 in the national title game, and I'm going to chew my players for one little thing because it's going to set the tone for the next year. Kirby's not afraid of the daggum transfer portal. He lost Tresman Marshall, no big deal. He lost A.D. Mitchell, no big deal. Look, A.D. Mitchell tore Alabama apart on Saturday. He lost Jermaine Burton, no big deal. He's losing players to transfer portal, but he don't care. He lost Barry Alexander to USC. He's going to coach the way he's going to coach, and the players on the Georgia roster are either going to respond or they're going to get the bleep out. And so, Coach, look, I know the transfer portal is hard. I know the transfer portal makes things tough. I know you get loyal to your players. I know you like to develop players over the course of 3 and 4 and 5 years, depending on how long they're here. I get that. I'm loyal as well. Look, why did I want Jalen Milroe to be the quarterback? Because he's been here already. He's been working hard. He's represented Alabama well so far. I didn't want Tyler Buchner to come from Notre Dame, daggum mercenary. Look, same thing applies for the wide receivers. When Jamison Williams got here, right before he got here, I was like, man, this guy, we don't need him. We don't need him. Come on. We're sending a bad message to our other receivers. Last year, I was full on Trayshawn Holden mode. Trayshawn Holden is going to have a great year. He's been working for the team. He's been working hard. And no, Trayshawn was terrible. Trayshawn was mid at best. But Coach doesn't want to deal with the transfer portal. Oh, we want to deal with it when we can go get a Jahmyr Gibbs, when we can go get a Tyler Steen. But we're afraid of, look, Coach went on the last couple of years about the transfer portal. We don't lose many guys we don't want to lose. Coach, maybe we should. I'm sorry, maybe you should. It's a new day in college football. Look, Colorado, they got a big win against Nebraska. They're not that good of a team, but they're going to get a lot of hype. They might end up, they're going to be what? They're second, third, and fourth in the Pac-12 behind Utah and USC. Yeah, they're going to have a decent year, but they're not a great team. They're not like a great team. What did Colorado do when Deion got there? He sent 50 bleepers and 50 dudes out the door. And he said, I'll just go get, this guy from the portal, that guy from the portal. I mean, half my Jackson State team, of course, that helps. But, he just went out and murdered the transfer portal. You saw Florida State do the same thing. Florida State's top 2 receivers right now from other programs. So, look, you got to get with the portal, get with the times or not. And if guys want to transfer out, let them. Coach them hard. When's the last time you heard this from Coach Saban? When's the last time you felt like Coach Saban got excited?
Well, how important is it for the young guys to get to play this week? Well, how in the hell you know they're going to get to play? I mean, what makes you think that you can just assume that they're going to get to play? Because you're assuming that the other team is not very good. They do have a Division I quarterback. He plays like a Division I quarterback, and they're very, very productive on offense, and they do a great job of executing what they do. And if we don't play good against them, you all don't remember the Georgia Southern game, do you? I don't think we had a guy on that field that didn't play in the NFL, and about 4 or 5 of them were first-round draft picks. And I think that team won a national championship, but I'm not sure. And they run through our like through a tin horn, man, and we could not stop them. Could not stop them. Could not stop them. Because we couldn't get a look in practice. We didn't practice it right. All right, and everybody said the same thing in that game. Y'all took a week off. All right, this wasn't important. All right, so it's not important to anybody else. It's got to be important to the players, and it's got to be important to us. You know, everybody gets all excited about the beginning of the season. You know, you get excited about getting married. All right, but after you're married for a while, you know, you got to have a process to make it work. All right, and no matter what happens, we need to have a process to make it work in every game that we play. Every game that we play. Can't assume anything. I don't even know what you asked me, but I just wanted to say that. Did anybody see that game? You saw that game? Yeah. I think we'd given up like 300 yards rushing the whole season in 10 games. That's like 30 yards a game. And all anybody wanted to talk about was how dominant the front was and how nobody could run against us. They got 300 yards rushing in one game. You don't remember that? I don't know, maybe you weren't around then. I don't know, maybe you're not old enough.
That's what it comes down to. I mean, that's a twofold comment. One, Coach, where's that fire? Where's that fire from you? Where's that fire from you that sets the tone for this football team? I mean, Coach today said, I'll be very surprised. I'll be very shocked if the team doesn't respond well. What evidence do we have now over a 12 to 18-month period? What evidence over an 18-month period do we have that Coach Saban and his boys are going to respond? Look, you played terrible against Tennessee, and then you cruised through parts of your season last year that were, you know, against mediocre teams that are not as good as you, Simple. This week, you're playing USF. They're not as good as you. You can roll out there blindfolded. They are not as good as you. I'm sorry. I'm not going to sit here and pretend like USF is going to give Alabama a challenge this weekend. I'm not going to play that game. But the problem is, you go and you get a lull. Oh, last year you erased the Tennessee loss. We beat A&M close. Oh, you take care. Look, okay, great. And then you're going down to LSU, and they're not as good as us. You didn't learn any lessons. And then, look at them beat Kansas State in the bowl game. That just surely means that everything sets up for 2023, that everything's going to be fine. Even though they're losing Bryce and Will, everything is going to be fine. And people believed it. Kansas State was never going to beat Alabama in the Sugar Bowl. Come on. Oh, what a joke. What a joke. And I feel like a fool believing the MTSU game was any sort of semblance of valuable football, any sort of semblance of football that would indicate this past week against Texas is going to be good. I was foolish. Now, granted, I did take Texas plus the 7. So, yay, winner. Who cares? Like, who cares? And so it goes back to, do you want to be the beast? Do you want to be the beast? You got to do what the beasts do. Now, think about it. Look, I can't control Coach Saban. I don't want to control Nick Saban. Coach is very smart. He's much smarter than I am. He's a great organizer. Look, he's got everything he needs to get this right. But he's got to look in the mirror a bit. He's got to look in do I still have the fire? Do I still have the hunger to be great? Coach has been talking a lot this offseason about internal and external motivations. And he's been talking about, do you need to be externally motivated? Coach, do you need to be externally motivated? Is this a youth thing? Is this a players thing? Who needs to be externally motivated? Now, look, going back to earlier, the fans, I got so many people in my comments about, well, of course I'm leaving, because I said, you guys are soft for leaving. You can look at it on Joe Gaither 6 on the Twitter machine. I said, you guys are soft for leaving. A shame on you. I stayed until the Texas man left because I felt like, one, the Texas people deserved that respect because they came all the way from Austin and they came for your bleeping neck and they got it. So respect your opponent. And so, two, I stayed because the pageantry of their band and of their fans, it was kind of magical to see. They were so happy. They were so excited. It's Sarkisian's greatest win. Okay, so I stayed for all that. But I stayed because that's what I signed up for when I said I'm going to the game. I said, and coach said, be ready for a street fight. You can hear my voice. I was ready. We're ready for a street fight. Not everybody was ready for a street fight. Not everybody was desperate to win the way that the fan base was desperate to win in 2007 and 8 and 9. I mean, even before that, think about it. Think about what you experienced, and maybe you didn't experience it because you're too young. Think about what you experienced with the Mikes. I mean, Shula was a great man. He was a good man, and he's an Alabama man. And so I appreciate Mike Shula for getting Alabama through the probation years. You're a good person and a great man, honestly. And a pretty fine offensive coordinator. He's made a great career in the NFL as an offensive coordinator after coaching here at Alabama. But really, the desperation, I wrote this down in the 2007 spring game. The 2007 spring game that Nick Saban got hired, 92,000 people showed up. 92,000 people showed up. And the same, 90,000 people show up in 2010, 92,000 in 2011. And then it drops off hard. You win two national championships and it drops off. Oh, 78, 73, 65,000. Then it goes up in 2016, 76, 74, 62,000 in 2019. Okay. No 8A in 2020. Bleep you on you, COVID. I'm sorry. But look at this. 47,000 in 21. 31,000 in 2022. And they wrote down 58,000 for 2023. I don't know about all that. Is the hunger still there for you? Are you desperate to win? Are you willing to do what the Beasts do? Because everybody takes their cues from you. Of course, Nick Saban runs the program. They run the program, of course. And Nick Saban would like to say that we don't care about fan noise and we don't care about this, that, or the other. But there's a reason Coach calls it rat poison. It matters. It matters. Whether you're showing up, you're staying for 4 quarters. Coach used to always get on to the students for not staying for 4 quarters because he wanted his backups to feel like they're playing for Alabama football. And when they're blowing the other team out 38-7. Does it still feel that way? No, it doesn't feel that way. It feels corporate. It feels like out of town. It feels like, oh, all these students don't understand the tradition. They don't understand. And look, is it just going to take an 8-3 season, or an 8-4 season? Excuse me. Is it just going to take a 9-3? Is it just going to take finishing third in the West before you believe it? Because you can say, oh, Joe, you're full of crap. It doesn't matter if we show up or not. It doesn't matter. Coach Saban should get. Look, I saw that a ton. Coach Saban doesn't deserve my respect tonight. These players played like crap. They don't deserve for me to stay for the 60 minutes. Well, first off, let's just think logistics. Here. You've already been in the stadium. For, look, I was there from 4:50 until what? Whatever time, right at 10 o'clock, I think. So, look, you're already there for 5 hours. And let me just tell you, when I walk down the spiral, that takes me 10 minutes or so. And then I walk to my car, that takes me 10 minutes or so. And we're trying to get out of the parking deck. That took 35 minutes, 45 minutes. No hate on that. That's not a complaint. These are just logistics. So what did you gain at all by leaving with 4 minutes on the clock as Texas is literally running the clock dry? You didn't gain any time. You didn't get home any faster. You didn't get home any faster at all. I promise you. And if you did, it was a matter of 10 minutes. And do you really think, look, I got to sleep about 2:15 on Saturday night because I was so keyed up. I was with some buddies and we were all just back at each other. And then when we finally went to bed, it was 1:30 and then, okay, fine. It's time to wind down. I got to bed about 2:10. And look, if I had left the stadium 10 minutes earlier, 5 minutes earlier, I still would have been in bed at 2:10. Wherever you live, whether you live in Huntsville, Mobile, whether you live in Atlanta, wherever you live, it doesn't matter. Whether you live right up over the border in Mississippi, you didn't get home that much faster by leaving. You didn't get back to North River that much faster because you left. I'm sorry. You didn't get home or to wherever the heck you are. You didn't get back to Gordo that much faster because you left. You didn't gain anything. I'm sorry. Don't be a fan. Go look. There are thousands of fans that will go and maybe they can't all pay the price that you paid, but they're going to give everything they have in that period of time to support Nick Saban and to support this program. Is the desperation still there? No. Well, I mean, when's the last time you heard this from Coach Saban?
Trust your preparation. Your ass is prepared for this for 365 days. I think about them that locker room. Think about getting our opportunity. All the you went through this week to get ready for this game. Now is when you pay the price. You go out there with energy, enthusiasm. Hey, now, ain't nobody in this room should be cautious. Ain't nobody in this room should be nervous about Go out here and their ass up. Don't think about scoreboard. Don't think about You think about knocking the out of them. Did you hear what Box said on Monday? When I sat in that meeting, I wanted to go play right then. Tore your up out here. 2 years ago, your your pride and joy tells me you these guys up. You go play the right way. You play the right way. You knock their ass off. You stay off the ground. You tackle the man with the ball. The easy. Look at the right punish their ass on offense and kick their ass on special teams, guys. It's about who the we are. I believe in you. Let's go.
I'm sorry. Does Coach Saban have any make their ass quit left in them? Do we have that as a program? Or do we expect we're Alabama, you guys should just fall over? You guys should just bow down and fall over. We're Alabama. I'm sorry. Yeah, I know, Texas. Yeah, we beat you last year in controversial fashion. Welcome to town. Welcome to our Tuscaloosa cocktail party. Welcome to our, we got College Game Day. We got Barstool Sports. We got all these people. Everybody wants to come to T-Town, Title Town. Y'all fall over for us. Absolutely disgusting. Okay. All right, where am I at here? I got so many other things. Is it time to talk about Jalen Milroe? All right, let's talk about Jalen Milroe. First, Jalen Milroe needs to play better. Hear that first. Jalen Milroe had a bad night on Saturday. Yeah, he did. But, and there's always a but, and it's always more than just the quarterback. You hear Coach Saban, and he is right, philosophically right. The quarterback's going to get more credit when we win than he deserves, and more blame than he deserves when we lose. And the same was true on Saturday night. Now, Jalen, oh gosh, the 2 interceptions that Jalen threw were 2 of the ugliest interceptions that have been thrown in an Alabama uniform in probably, Takes me back to Tua throwing the pick 6 in the national championship game against Clemson. That's probably where you're at, because both those interceptions led to points on the board. Both those interceptions led to, basically you gave up 10 points. Credit the defense for holding them to a field goal on one of those drives. But you gave up 10 points right there on those 2 interceptions. Now, the rest of it, you look at the all-22, there are guys open. But you got just dog poo protection. It goes up to, and you're getting the ball snapped to you every which way. I'm sorry, Seth McLaughlin. The first thing you got to do, Mr. Man, is snap the football. Now, Seth and Darian Dalcourt struggled. They struggled through the game. They did. And really, they struggled with Texas's defensive run. Thank you so much to Joey Hickey and to Kirk Bowles for joining us last week from the Texas Beat. You can watch those conversations right there on YouTube, on Facebook, Twitter. You can listen to them on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Amazon. They told you need to watch out for the interior of the Texas defense. That's the strength. And Darian Dalcourt and Seth McLaughlin, oh my gosh, they struggled hard. Now, Coach said today that he thought that they were too, quote, soft setting in their pass sets. And yeah, they were. Jalen Milroe was having pressure in his lap all daggum night. And now part of that is due to, okay, they think this kid can't throw. Let's pressure him. Let's get after him, make him make some bad decisions. Credit Pete Kwiatkowski for that. Credit him. I mean, yeah, great play. Great moves. Unbelievable how just the schemes, the opposite schemes. Look, it goes into Texas came into Tuscaloosa with no fear. None at all. They said we don't fear your uniform. We know your tradition, but we played with you last year. We're coming here to win. And they pressured the quarterback. Look, you had good success early running the football, but that dried up. And it did dry up. You can say you abandoned the run game, Tommy Rees, this, that, or the other. The only thing about Tommy Rees that really drove me nuts, over 2 weeks now, you don't have a ton of quarterback run. You came out in your second or third drive, and you called a beautiful quarterback draw on the perfect time. We hadn't seen it all year. Boom, he hits for about 20 yards. Great. Now we're moving. Jalen Milroe is in rhythm. Keep running the daggum ball with Jalen Milroe. He's only your best athlete on the field. Have you ever watched Lamar Jackson? Did you ever watch Tim Tebow? I mean, Tim Tebow was in the city this past week, and we don't run any quarterback power ever. I'm sorry. That's a failing. That is a failing on a coaching level to not run any quarterback power. Now, Tommy Rees basically said in the springtime, in the spring or in the fall, that he's coming here to run the Alabama offense, and he's coming here to integrate his philosophies into the Alabama offense, and he's coming here to take advantage of the skills that they have. They're going to tailor the offense to the skills that you have. Well, hello, Jalen Milroe is probably, I love you, Jace McClellan, but Jalen Milroe is your best runner with the football in his hands. He is. It was absolutely disheartening to see Tommy Rees not call very many quarterback runs. Did you ever call a speed option? Did we ever get into the I formation? Hardly. Did we play a lot out of 12 personnel? Not really. Excuse me, my throat's about to go crack. As my throat's about to crack, listen to Coach Saban talk about we didn't get any pressure on the other side.
We didn't get any pressure on their quarterback. We're trying to play so we could cover their receivers and rush 4 guys, and we didn't affect him at all. And, the third down stuff that we did do, they did a good job of moving the pocket, picking us, and playing man-to-man. And so we didn't do a very good job of affecting their quarterback. And
Coach Saban, you and Kevin Steele called a scared game plan. I'm sorry. I think back to when I was a child. I was a child watching LSU in 2003-04 when you beat Oklahoma, and the announcers that night, or sticks out to me so clearly, said, these LSU Tigers have so many blitzes in their playbook that they named them after parishes in the state of Louisiana. And there's X amount of parishes, and so every single blitz was different. And look, I understand you tried to play coverage against Tennessee. You had to play a light box against Tennessee due to their spacing, and, last year Hendon Hooker ate you alive. I understand Jalen Hyatt and their spacing ate you all alive. I get it. But I don't understand how you can watch last week's Rice game. Look, I know it's just Rice, but what did Rice do to put pressure on Quinn Ewers? What did you hear from Kirk Bowles and from Jeremy Hickey? You heard, Quinn Ewers struggling with the deep ball. Quinn Ewers not throwing the deep ball very well. Quinn Ewers can't get the ball down the field. His accuracy deep is not very good. And what did Rice do? Lowly Rice. They got after Quinn Ewers, three sacks. They pressured him all day because they blitzed. Now, yes, they lost. I think it was 40-3, 38-3. They lost. I get that. That was not a winning formula for them. They couldn't do anything offensively. But how in the world did you watch the Rice game and think, well, we should just play coverage? Well, we should let Quinn Ewers just have his time back there. I think we can get there with 3. We should just rush 4. They haven't been recruiting 5-star offensive linemen. They have. They haven't been beefing up their offensive line since Steve Sarkisian's gotten there. They have. We should just rush 3. We should rush 4. It's fine. and we'll just play coverage on the back end. Deontay Lawson, Kendrick Blackshire, Jihad Campbell gets back healthy. Oh, Chris Braswell, Keanu Coate, Quandarius Robinson. It's fine. We should just play coverage. We should just play coverage when you got dadgum hurt Jalen Key, hurt Malachi Moore, and freshman Caleb Downs in the back end. We want to rely on that. And look, Caleb Downs is going to be a hell of a player here at Alabama. He is. He is going to be a hell of a player. But he had a hard night. He had a night that he's going to remember for a long time. And maybe that night fuels him to be the great player that we all expect him to be. And I do think he's going to be great. And I think Jalen Key had a wonderful week number 1. And I think Malachi Moore is a dog. I do. I'm a big Malachi Moore fan. But they weren't 100%. Trey Amos still picking up the scheme. Got himself burned. Really is a communication issue. The communication between Terry and Arnold and Caleb Downs was lacking all night long. The first 4th down conversion for Texas was off a pick route, a banjo route that should have been banjoed and swapped off. Total miscommunication. Dude, help these guys out on the back end and blitz Quinn Ewers. Blitz your tail off. I'm sorry. Go down fighting. Don't be scared. Nick Saban in 11, Nick Saban in 2011, Nick Saban in 2016. Now, granted, 16, you had some monsters up front. You had Jonathan Allen. You had Deron Payne. I get it. Those are special players up front. I get that. But good gosh, why are we coaching scared? Why are we playing scared? How did you watch the Rice game, Coach Saban, and say, well, these Rice Owls, they really got after Quinn Ewers. And of course, they lost, but so we're just going to sit back and play opposite of Rice. Dude, our athletes are 10 billion times better than Rice. Deontay Lawson, oh gosh, I think he's going to be. I love him as a person, and I was very high on him going into the season. And he does seem like he is leading the defense. Week number 1 was nice, but goodness gracious, struggled in pass coverage. If we're all struggling in pass coverage, blitz them. Get after them. Put Quinn Ewers on their tail. Quinn Ewers stayed comfortable all night long. No pressures. No sacks. Oh, gosh. It was awful. And it goes back to me wondering, Coach, do you still have it? Do you still have the juice to say, you know what? Steve Sarkisian's coming in here. He kind of knows what we like to do. He's got a great offense. Xavier Worthy's a hell of a receiver. I think Adonai Mitchell is better. I think Adonai Mitchell is more complete. Oh, my God. The catch that Adonai Mitchell made on Kool-Aid McKinstry over his shoulder down the sidelines late in the game was just gorgeous. It was next level. It was impressive. Of course, Texas, we've been recruiting offense forever. Sark, he's a genius. And you bust coverage left and right. Just blitz them. Just go after them. At some point, and here's the flabbergasting thing. At some point, you got to wonder, look, we're in the same sort of system with Tennessee. Tennessee's burning our ass. We're getting Jalen Hyatt's going over the top. What's the definition of insanity? Wendell Ware, Troy Williams, CJ Williams, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing, expecting a different result. That's what happened in Knoxville. And you got burned over and over and over. Okay, fine. Let's take it as a lesson. We don't want to waste a failing. We don't want to waste a failure. Coach, I'm with you. Let's not waste a failure. When's the last time we saw in-game adjustments on the defensive side of the ball? I'll wait. Now, you don't need it against Western Tech University. You don't often need it against MTSU. You don't need it against Mississippi State. You often don't need it against Arkansas. Who cares about those games? Alabama fans aren't caring about those games. I mean, yeah, they're going to care about them if they lose. But come on, what Alabama fans are going to hear for the next, at least 2 years until Texas and Alabama play again is, we kicked your butt at home. And they did. So do you take it, Coach Saban? Are you going to learn lessons? Are we going to make adjustments schematically? Are we going to, look, if the scheme's too complicated, fine. I'm not going to say it's too complicated because I'm not in the building. But if it is, fine. Simplify it. Simplify and attack. You got the best athletes in the world. You're recruiting the best football players year after year. Look, I trust the recruiting rankings. I mean, they're not exact science, but I trust them. You're getting the best athletes in the country year after year. You got some people getting a little rowdy online that you got to recruit more kids in Alabama. There might be some merit to that, more kids that care about the A, but the fact of the matter is you are recruiting at the very top level. You're basically choosing. You're basically picking and choosing. So put them into positions where they're going to succeed. Don't sit back there and look. I wasn't very good on defense, but what made it very hard as a defender was not knowing what the offensive player is going to do. If the coach said, Joe, I'm going to have you blitz this down, that was something I could do. You tell me what I'm going to do. I'm going to envision it. I'm going. And granted, average and the athlete, definitely very, very average, below average, people might argue. And I'll give them that argument. That's fine. Coach, you've got Deontay Lawson. You got your man. Look, Kool-Aid, if Kool-Aid's a first-round draft pick, which he is, if Kool-Aid's going to be a top 15 pick, which he is, if Caleb Downs is a future first-round draft pick, I believe he might be, if Dallas Turner is probably a top 10 pick, which he will be, use them. Throw them out there. Throw them out there and just let them go. Unleash the – look, I hate to bring it all back to Georgia. Take the collar off and let the dogs eat. Gosh, I'm just so frustrated, and I'm just really wondering if this is really the end. Now, we'll see. We'll find out. Well, we will find out as the season continues. If you listen to the program at all throughout the offseason, I kind of have been on the track that the Texas game isn't the be-all, end-all, and it's not. We're right here at an hour. I'm probably going to go a while longer, and I might just break this up for the podcast edition, but for YouTube, I'm going to keep it rolling here. I've got couple more notes here to hit, and my passion is feeling. Actually, I got something to do at 4:00, so I got to get out of here in a couple minutes. But look, the season's not over. The season's not over. Everything's in front of you. Everything is right there in front of you, and you can still win a national championship. You can go win the West, and you can go to the SEC championship and play Georgia. Everything is right there in front of you, and it's fine. Will you make it fine? Will you make Saturday night fine? By responding well, by getting back to the standard, by not accepting this. Don't accept this. Don't accept the poor play, the soft, that's the nicest way I could put it, the soft play, the soft attitude. Look, Coach, if you need somebody to curse them out, I know a dozen and a half people that'll get in there and curse them out. You just tell us what you want to say, and I'll give you the fire. Look, if you need to go get a Scott Cochran who's if you need to get somebody that's just going to be a hype man, we can find them. They're all over town. We can find them. You're going down to South Florida this week, and here's the time, because Ole Miss is coming next week, and the SEC play starts. Ole Miss, number 1 in my power rankings right now on BamaCentral.com. You can read that right now. I dropped Alabama all the way from 2 to 6 because they played poorly. Granted, you get a little grace because you played a top 10 team. You played a blue blood program. A little more grace there, and you didn't get blown out like LSU did against Florida State. But Ole Miss, they put up 77 points against the FCS team. No one cares. They went down on the road and they beat top 25 Tulane. You may say you don't care about that, but that's a nice win. That's a nice win. And let's all be honest with ourselves. Lane Kiffin and Pete Golding, they would gouge their own eyes out to win this game. Seriously, they would get. I believe it. I believe if you sold Pete Golding, if you cut off your ear, you'll win in Tuscaloosa. That ear would be off in seconds. He'd get a hacksaw to his ear. Whatever the price is, Lane Kiffin and Pete Golding want to pay it to win in Tuscaloosa. It's Alabama. Are you willing to look, Coach Saban? Are y'all willing to bleed? Will you have will you sacrifice a small paper cut? Will you give a little bit of blood to win? Will you do what the beast do? You want to be the beast, you got to do what the beast do. Are you willing to do what the beast do? And the fans, 2 weeks, you come into Tuscaloosa, You're going to have to welcome Ole Miss. You're going to have to welcome Lane Kiffin. Whatever feelings that you put out online about Pete Golding over the last 3 years, here's your chance to legitimately yell it for 3.5 hours at his players and prove yourselves right. And they're going to need you. This is not Bryce Young's team. This ain't your daddy's Alabama team. This ain't 09 Alabama team that is self-motivated. This ain't 2011 Alabama. This ain't 2016, 2015 Alabama. These guys need your support. This isn't hey, y'all play well so I can cheer. Y'all play well so I can enjoy myself. This team needs you. Literally, they need you. They need your positive energy. They need your support for 60 minutes. Now, granted, they played like bleep on Saturday. They played so bad in so many different areas. If you want to see a kind of in-depth breakdown of the game, it's on my Twitter page right now, my replay with little cuts right there at Joe Gaither 6. We will be back tomorrow. I'm going to talk to a $1 Million Band member, I think 2 of them, tomorrow on the program. And I'm going to continue this conversation. I'm going to continue talking about where Alabama is in the standards, where Alabama is as far as future of college football, as far as future of this program, future of this season. You got 2 weeks to figure out if you're going to play with Jalen Milroe, if we're going to tailor the offense to his skill set. Can he read a defense effectively? Are you going to protect him? Offensive line? Are you going to be the physical offensive line that you said you were going to be? Dallas Turner, are you going to be the best defender in the SEC like you said you were going to be this summer? What are you going to do? This is your time. This is your chance. Look in the dadgum mirror and decide, Alabama. What are you going to do? You had Josh Pate pick you for a title. You had Kirby Herbstreit pick you for a title. And Josh Pate talking about the meanest, biggest, baddest offensive line I ever seen in my entire life. Okay, are you going to play like it? I know offensive line play is very nuanced. It's very difficult to master. I understand that. But it's time for the 5 fingers to play like one fist and to start imposing their will. And, of course, they're going to do it this weekend against South Florida, but that doesn't matter. What matters is when you start getting the SEC play, when Ole Miss is coming through for your throat in 2 weeks, which they will be, will you respond, offensive line? Will you respond, Alabama fans? Will you respond in kind? Look, Kirby Herbstreit talked about when Alabama fans feel threatened. When Alabama fans feel threatened, they respond. I didn't feel like that on Saturday. I felt like it in spurts. It's 3rd down. And, of course, the crowd goes wild. But what happened on 1st and 2nd down? What happened? How many pre-snap penalties did you guys force in Bryant-Denny Stadium? 1. Actually, none, because Texas took the delay of game on purpose. Terrible. It's a terrible showing from the very tip top to the very, very bottom. Now, I'm sure the administration made a ton of money this weekend. I know the city of Tuscaloosa made a ton of money, and that's always a win. Always a win. Great. I want every local business to succeed and to thrive. If you're a local business that wants to sponsor this show, I will shout your praises to the highest mountains. Every 5 minutes, I will. It's fine. I love making money. That's what makes the world go round. But at some point, you got to get back to the hunger, back to the, oh my gosh, it's 2005, and Tyrone Prothro just broke his ankle, and our great season is gone out the window, and it's 2006, and Mike Shula not getting it done. We got to let him go. You got that gum Tommy Tuberville giving you the thumb. How many more are you going to take? Will Kirby give you? You're not going to see Kirby this year unless you play well. Will Hugh Freeze? Oh my God! Imagine how sick you're going to be. Imagine, this is Texas. We won't see him again for a couple years, and yes, their program is kind of like ours in history and tradition and branding. But will you live? Will you be fine if Hugh Freeze beats you on the first year after going last in the SEC last year? Will you be okay? Oh my gosh, because that's what it's going. I mean, you're trending to go out to go out to A&M. I know they lost this past weekend to Miami, but you're trending to go out to A&M. Don't take that loss seriously. Remember the last time you went out to A&M against a 4-3 football team with a freshman quarterback who was not good for the first couple of weeks and played his tail off and beat Bryce Young. It's really right now. Coach Saban said it in the media room earlier today, saying the future is now. Well, Coach, do you believe it? Are you going to be that leader? I don't know. I hope so. Look, I'm getting a little bit out. Look, it used to be every big game I'm picking Alabama, period. No matter what. I'm just drawing up my own score. 34-20. 31-17. No way, Jose. I'll tell you, I had a little gut feeling right before the game. Oh, this might not be a good night. But I ignored it. I said, no, we are Alabama. I'm going to get into this game. The video screens are doing the history. It's fine. And the history was great. You heard it. This is not the end. This is the beginning. Well, buddy, I don't know if that's true anymore. We'll be back tomorrow with another edition of the Joe Gaither Show right here on BamaCentral, BamaCentral.com. You're watching us on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter. Follow me at Joe Gaither6. Tell a friend about the program. If you were upset by anything that you heard today, drop a comment, question, query, complaint. It's totally fine. I will respond to it. If you liked what you heard, share it to a friend. If you hated it, share it to a friend. It's no problem. We'll stir up any interaction that we can get. I enjoy being wrong. I enjoy being right. But mostly I enjoy you guys and interacting with the fans. So I'll be back tomorrow with two members of the $1 Million Band, and this conversation is going to continue. I mean, we're playing South Florida, but this is about to be a 2-week conversation until you see what the team does against Ole Miss. So for you guys, the viewer, the listener, I love you so much. I'm Joe Gaither. I'm taking the dog out, and we're going on a long walk, and I'm contemplating the meaning of life. I hope you have a great day. I love you so much. We'll be back tomorrow with another edition of the Joe Gaither Show on BamaCentral and BamaCentral.com.